How are we all doing? Let me just angle myself more. We good? Everyone hear me? Everyone see me? We are today. I'll wait until there's confirmation from. Yes, hello everyone. There's no water in that. There will soon be wine in this. Yeah, so how are we all doing? Are we all good? Hi Mandy, how's it going? I'm a bit scatterbrained. I didn't get much sleep last night. Annoyed. Hey Harker, welcome. Annoyed that the chicken run video is being content disputed right now. Fuck YouTube for doing that, and fuck anyone who's trying to put that kind of work of art behind a paywall. That is unacceptable. So we will be drinking some wine, as normal. It's what we do here. Yes, thank you. Wee Christmas jumper as well. It's not my most Christmassy of Christmas jumpers. I have more Christmassy jumpers, but they're all up back home, well, back at my parents' house in Scotland. It was the meat industry. You're right. It was who it was. That's who's blocking it. The meat industry and the capitalists conspiring to keep us down. The video is not being blocked anywhere. It's available places. It's just been it's at the moment demonetized. I've disputed it. I would very much like it not to be demonetized. I told you they was organised. That's right, Devil. What was I saying? I'd prefer it if it wasn't demonetized. So many of my videos get restricted or demonetized, and normally it's because I talk about genocide constantly, and apparently advertisers aren't keen on that. It's not something that they particularly care for. But this one is just trying. I don't know how do these like YouTubers who do all their stuff with movies and shit, Disney and things like that, how do they do it? How do they get past all the copyrights? Like, it's a small clip that has been altered that had comment afterwards, not just simply describing the clip, but describing the implications of the clip as part of a satirical review. That is fully fair use shit. And somehow getting caught up in it. And it wasn't caught up the first time that video was uploaded. The unlisted one that went up for patrons, that got demonetized for a different section, which I fixed. But this section has again been demonetized for a completely different section, indicating that the whole thing is arbitrary and pointless. So we're coming in here with good spirits. I got my wine, finished writing. Hello Lemon, welcome to Gas Girl and Boss Keep. This is what we do here. I can't see, because I've been wearing my contact lenses for a while. I need new ones, but I can't see the chat very well. Need to do better there. So I might take a wee bit to read your comments. Apologies for that. So we're coming in with high spirits here. I've got my wine. I've got some vegetarian cocktail sausages and cheese and sour cream and chive dip. Classic for a hungover John, but we're not hungover today. We're drinking. We were in good spirits because Peter Erickson. This literally just started. We're just here. We're chilling out. Literally just started. Excuse me for 1 second. Thought I was gonna sneeze. Didn't. Anyway, So we finished writing the next script, which I'm gonna try film Monday maybe, and try and get it out. If not before New Year, immediately after New Year. That video, the script is up for patrons right now to take a look at. It needs a bit of tweaking tomorrow. But I'm away back up to Scotland on Tuesday, so I only have a limited amount of time to do filming. And I don't want to do it with my flatmates working, because I want to do a little bit of use cooking as a wee metaphor for what we're doing. So we're gonna do some interspersing with cooking, because there's some dense theoretical shit in there, and we need something to mix it up with. How is everyone here? We all good? Excited about the Christmas season? Have we all watched Muppets Christmas Carol at least 3 times, as is customary at the type of the year? Mainly Mandy, real cooking, not just piss boiling. We're gonna do some. I might make a stew, because like the metaphor will be like, Dan Olsen level production. The metaphor is just basically, because we're mashing together a few different theories. The point will be, these are things which could potentially, these are things of themselves, but once they're mixed into this pot, they create something new and interesting. And that's essentially the point being made. And also, might be kind of fun to just cut between things. And I like cooking. I'm good at cooking. I'm good at cooking slop. I'm not a fancy cook. I'm no Gordon Ramsay or Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall or the other chefs. I make vats of tasty slop, and then I eat it for several days. Curries, chilies, soups. We've talked about this before. Harker, I'm excited to see another one of your great videos. All your videos are great. Yeah. I don't know many chefs. Chefs, I'm going to be honest here. I've never met a chef that wasn't an arsehole. I've worked in many different hospitality roles, many different places, and never once met a chef who wasn't just a prick, especially a head chef. And it's not like, oh, they're bossing people around in the kitchen and they need to do it. No, even outside the kitchen, just arseholes. Arseholes. Maybe Sam from We're in Hell, but you know, that's even a stretch. I will call him an asshole and beef him all day long. Someone mentioned Muppets Christmas Carol after I did, because let's riff off that, because Muppets Christmas Carol is the best is the best Christmas movie. Beef, yeah, that's right. Muppets Christmas Carol is the best Christmas movie, and I think it's illegal actually to not watch it 3 times before Christmas. If you get caught, it's like TV licenses in the UK. The Muppets Christmas Carol inspectors can't come in your house if they ask, but you can let them in, and that's how they get you. That's how they get you. I am so tired. No, Thomas James, nah, that's just not true. Die Hard, I don't even care about is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not. Even if it is, it's not as good as Muppets Christmas Carol. In Die Hard, does any tiny little mouse sing "No cheeses for us Mises"? I don't think so. If John McClane said that, then this would be a different fucking story. But nowhere in Die Hard does the line "No cheeses for us Mises" get brought up. It is therefore an inferior movie. Not only an inferior Christmas movie, an inferior movie. I would want a Die Hard with Muppets though. Annabelle, you're right. A Die Hard with Muppets would be fucking classic. Which character would you replace? Which character would you keep in Muppets Die Hard? Because you've either got The two classics would be John McClane and Alan Rickman's character. But I think it would be good to get the police officer who talks John McClane through it from outside. Everyone inside is Muppets. Absolutely everyone inside is Muppets except the guy, the police officer on the outside. That would be great. I would watch that. Just a really hard done by cop. Just talking Kermit through. Who would play Alan Rickman in that? Which Muppet would play the bad guy? I feel like Gonzo would be the funniest. I did think Eddie the Eagle would be one of them. Would be a good one for Alan Rickman's character. Maybe Gonzo, because Gonzo's just fun. Hello, Owlnick. We're talking about Muppets. We've already finished talking about Chicken Run. Oh, actually, no, we're not finished talking about Chicken Run. I have so much more to talk about Chicken Run about. I should probably just start talking about that. Fucking hell, my phone is fucked. Sorry. My phone does this. Switches on and off I'm getting a new one. Getting a refurbished one for Christmas, because every few minutes this fucking phone freezes for like 15 minutes at a time, then restarts, then I've got to wait for that, and then 15 minutes later it does the whole thing again. It's so annoying. Chicken Run. Alan Rickman as the only human in a Muppets Die Hard would be superior. Yeah, I mean, Alan Rickman is Alan Rickman, so it's difficult to replace. Yeah, Chicken Run. So there were things that I missed, or things that I couldn't fit in to Chicken Run video that I want to talk about. That video ended up being 4,000 words long. Like, that was meant to be a joke. Like, I was like, oh, I'll just do a wee short thing, be like a Twitter thread, a wee joke Chicken Run video. Apparently not. Apparently I had to write 4,000 words on this masterpiece, and there was yet more to say. The first extra thing to say, I think, Babs is great. I mean, Babs is the queen. There's no contention there. Everybody loves Babs. There's no denying that Babs is the best. Just she's just the best. Like, there's no denying it. John, have you read Jack Halberstam's Queer Art of Failure, a great example of the real academic doing shitpost analysis of pop culture? I have not, but I would like it. Sounds like I'd like it. Yeah. Babs is great. That's where we were starting. Second thing, the rats. Now, the rats I found difficult to place. I found them difficult to place throughout the whole vibe of the film. Until I was talking with Eleanor Penny, who's a is Eleanor a journalist or comedian in the UK? Someone on left Twitter, in the UK, and she had an analysis of Chicken Run as well, where the rats were like the dispossessed, and I was thinking maybe to place the rats, they're sort of like those members of society who are still dependent on society, but are criminalized by it because they don't fit into the social norms which dictate proletarianization. Kind of similar to a lot of the stuff we're talking about in the next video. So the rats are unsubjectified within the chicken farm. They're ejected from it, but dependent on it, pushed into a life of crime, and that's where they situate themselves. They're sort of criminals, not because of anything essential to them, but because they're pushed out of the world of the chicken farm, the sort of capitalist world of the chicken farm, and eventually, they join forces with the chickens. They create commonality, create a singular revolutionary proletariat, and help them escape. And I think this is important because I was talking to someone else about this last night, and they suggested that the rats were like a merchant class within the sort of metaphor. But I didn't think that followed, because the rats, the merchant class don't side with the proletariat in the revolution. They're with the fucking bourgeois. There's no way the rats are on the side of the bourgeois. So clearly there's something else going on. So I think the rats as a sort of dispossessed criminal like underclass fits better within the framework. What's going on here? Someone mad at me in chat. Middle class hipster leftist, in 5 years you'll be fully ascended academic with a house cleaner advocating for change via the ballot box. Okay, cool. Someone's mad at me. Yeah, the rats. The rats are the criminalised. Hey, Sunshine Fall. Hey, I'm arguing with my roommate. Help settle an argument. Did you or did you not know Chicken Run was inspired by The Great Escape? And if not, why didn't you mention it? Oh, of course I knew it was inspired by The Great Escape. But it's boring. That's a boring thing. Everyone mentions that. It's obvious and boring. We wanted to get beyond that we wanted to get beyond that sort of surface level analysis, to something deeper, something more important than The Great Escape. Yeah. I mean, everything about it is a pastiche of those sort of wartime films. Proletarian drug food. You have joined a live stream in which I am sitting drinking wine and talking about Chicken Run. We're not doing the revolution from this position. If you want to get mad at academics, get mad at academics. But I'm fine. I'm doing my best. I mean, if you think in 5 years any early career academic has the chance of a house and a cleaner, then you have no idea what the academic job market is like. We are not doing well over here. And besides, you don't know what I do, what work I do outside of YouTube, so, clear assumption. Maybe keep your assumptions about the world and about someone else to yourself, and get a life instead of hanging out getting mad at people on a live stream when they're just drinking wine. It's fine. Life is hard, and sometimes it's nice to talk about Chicken Run with some wine. The next one thing I wanted to talk about. I was originally there was originally more about this in the script than came out, because I did cut some stuff out, but there's stuff I wanted to talk about concerning the masculinity portrayed by Mr. Tweedy, and the sort of how that plays into kind of regionalised. I'm talking about Chicken Run. This is important stuff, Mandy. This is important stuff. This is anti-revolutionary stuff, according to some. The way that masculinity is portrayed, through Mr. Tweedy, and how that plays into a kind of regionalised vision of society. Especially in England, the sort of English countryside, English northern countryside aesthetics, and the ways that wives were often viewed of as kind of dominant in sort of in that sort of system, and classes presented and flushed away. Maybe I don't think I've ever seen Flushed Away. flushed away analysis. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, and the way I think there's something that we could have said between the sort of girl boss neoliberal feminism of Mrs. Tweedy and the and Mr. Tweedy's masculinity. Whether that sort of is reflective of fears that some men have, some particularly northern men have, of the power of their wives over them, whether it's reflective of a kind of fear of demasculinization in the development of of capitalism as it's moving on, and certain gender lines are being broken down while being reaffirmed in certain other ways. So there's definitely stuff to say there. And leading on from that, there's stuff to talk about how the regionalisation, like the fact this is said, Mr. Tweedy also mentions that his father and grandfather were chicken farmers when explaining why he wants to reject the automated capitalism and burrow into his reactionary police state. Yeah, exactly. That's the exact sort of moment that that sort of inspired this. Because I was watching this film again last night. I have a problem, and the problem is Chicken Run. And this did occur to me last night. So it's sort of a fear of an ascendancy of a particular kind of neoliberal women in relation to masculinity. His father owned a chicken farm, and his father's father, his father's father, and all that stuff. But Mrs. Tweedy is taking on the solution is also Chicken Run. That's right. There's an ascendancy of this particular kind of womanhood, which isn't necessarily emancipatory, but it is dislodging certain men in certain positions and making them feel insecure. And I wonder if Mr. Tweedy is a reflection of that. And that's something that we could have talked about a bit more. And it's also, I think, and also the sort of regionalisation, like we were talking about a second ago. I think it's important. I think it's important that it's placed in the north, or wherever. It's not your traditional, it's not south. It's not a South England accent that any of the bourgeois have, which is sort of displacing the narrative that all of the bourgeois must necessarily be Southerners or particular kinds of posh English people, that they can be grown from particular regions themselves. And in the context of, say, Thatcherism, which is relevant considering the neoliberal feminist position, Thatcher often used the fact that she was from a particular area that wasn't the South, and that her dad was part of a community, part of knew everyone there, so she was part of the place and grew up in a place, and she sort of used that to justify her own destruction of that place through her politics, and I think that's also something that we could have mentioned. Final point that I think I should have mentioned. And there's infinitely more stuff, but these are the sort of main big hitters. So last night when the person I was watching it with, we were musing over the role of gravy in the film. I would say Mr. Tweedy is a bit of a soy beta. I would say Mr. Tweedy is a reflection of the fear of becoming a soy beta. He is the reason that people get accused of soy beta is because they are anxious about being Mr. Tweedy. Gravy. So gravy is mentioned quite a few times in the film. And gravy is used a lot. It comes up a lot. And it's actually relevant to the final act of destruction of the capitalist plane. Hey Sinan, how's it going? We're talking more about Chicken Run. I'm drinking wine because that's what I do now. This is my brand. I'm no longer the neoliberal genocide guy, at least for a few weeks. I am now the chicken run and wine guy, and I'm much happier. I am much happier. Oh, how did that go? Sinan was interviewing QCs. This is the power of Sinan. The power of Sinan. Anyway, gravy. We were talking about gravy. There were some very out there explanations at times. I will have to watch and see what comes up. The gravy. So the role of gravy in the film, it acts as the final destruction of the farm, the final destruction of capitalism, essentially. Because I think gravy represents oil. I think gravy in this film represents oil and fossil fuels. And let me justify myself before y'all come in and poo-poo me and deny that this is clearly supposed to be the case. Gravy is oil. So, the machine. What destroys them? The machine runs on gravy. We don't see anything except gravy powering and coursing through the machine. It's the gravy that ends up destroying the machine. When it flows, it's black. It's closer to a sort of image of oil than it looks like to gravy. I don't like gravy, said by Babs. Of course, a sort of, if we can reframe Babs as maybe like a sort of primitivist, ecological, obsessed. She loves knitting. You know, she's environmental. She would be part of Extinction Rebellion. Intellectual discussion of gravy. That is right. That's what we're doing here, and it's all very serious. I think I might be the foremost academic in Chicken Run at this point, by the way. Also, when Mrs. Tweedy falls out of at the end, when she's cut loose from the flying thing, the crate, she flies in through the window of the barn, head first into the machine. And what rises up to burn her, to destroy her, is the gravy. The blackened, oil-looking gravy. And then it explodes, and it looks just like an oil well explosion. That cannot be a coincidence. It looks straight up in the air, looks like an oil well explosion, and destroys capitalism, destroys the farm, implying that fossil fuel production and fossil fuel use will be one of the ultimate cause of destruction of capitalism. And also that has relevance for the regionalism that we were talking about, because much of the oil and coal, especially nowadays with fracking, although they couldn't see that at the time, but coal mining in particular, very clear, very powerful up north. So there is fossil fuel connection there. So I think gravy as oil is a clear metaphor within this film, and a clear aspect of the critique. Part of an environmental critique as well, which is important and quite forward thinking for 2000. Like, everyone's always doing environmental films now when we know the world is going to end, but back then people were still in some denial about it. There were still people claiming that, the world isn't going to end through environmental destruction. People were still trying to claim that there was some question about it, and that the questions were less pressing or urgent. And here comes Chicken Run to be like, oil and natural fossil fuels are going to destroy capitalism. This film is a fucking goldmine. Let's see what's going on in chat while I've been talking about fucking gravy. Oh shit, you're right. I know I'm right. Everyone just wanting soul food. I mean, we've just been talking about Chicken Run. Babs is a pre-Caliban femininity. That is a powerful take. We could maybe couch Babs as a pre-Caliban femininity within a critique of Federici herself. Because Federici's view of femininity is more. It's kind of, there's issues with it in kind of an ontological sense. Would Babs offer a critique to that kind of the Federici's view? That's something to think about. John the Chicken Run Wine and Gravy Guy. Which British ethnicity is cocky? Do you mean Rocky? Rocky is American. That's important in the film. Rocky as an American is important for the whole metaphor of liberalism versus, versus pure emancipation, sort of socialist emancipation. Because where land of the free, home of the brave, obviously an American, and Mel Gibson as well. I didn't want to get into Mel Gibson because who wants to spend their time opening that can of mad anti-Semitic worms, but American is good enough for an explanation or an exploration of what his role is in Chicken Run. And there is yes, like, of course he's American. Lone Free Ranger, land of the free, home of the brave, the sort of hegemonic ideal of liberal individualism. He has to be American. It absolutely has to be. It's not as if the English are much better, but if you're going to have someone be your sort of emblematic ideal of liberal individualism, it's going to be an American. Important to recognise that analysis needing high art as object as dead. Chicken Run Gravy are the perfect vehicles to demonstrate critique of capitalism and industrialisation. Hugo King, thank you. We appreciate the comments here. We appreciate we appreciate the need to deconstruct the world around us through art and reconstruct it through our critiques. I mean, also, to be honest, I've never done film critique. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done media analysis. I've never done film criticism. I'm talking shite, and that it's convincing. If you talk long enough, you can make anything right. It's just, probably not the best thing to say, but I found it to be the case sometimes. The one place in which that is legitimately not the case, like in this whole thing, like so much of it is shitposty, and I'm glad that people have found it useful as like explanations of the movie or of particular theoretical things that I talk about in other places and presented in a more sort of useful and accessible way. That's great, and I appreciate that. It was a shitpost. It was a 40-minute shitpost, which doesn't negate any value from it. But the one place where it kind of didn't get shitposty is the discussion of Mrs. Tweedy as sort of neoliberal feminism. I think there is legitimately so much there that is useful for explaining that kind of subjectivity within neoliberalism in such incredible ways, like the way that the mask is torn off, the mask of like ideal femininity is torn off to reveal a rampant capitalist, is such a perfect visual metaphor. It's amazing. That truly is amazing, as a useful piece of discursive. As a useful discursive tool for understanding this particular subjectivity. That was amazing. The rest is very much like, I will talk and see what happens. Guys, I cited Walter Rodney in this Chicken Run video. What was I talking about before? Oh, someone said something. Annie oddly enough said, yeah, and not just all about the Industrial Revolution really got going from the oil taken from Wales. Yeah. I mean, Mrs. Tweedy is talking about moving from the Dark Ages to full-scale automated production. So there's huge parallels in industrialization there, and the fact that gravy as oil is so dominant is sort of backs that up as well. I bet we can go backwards into Wallace and Gromit to find that Nick Park has likely a long history in communist allegory. I'd be interested to see if what we could gain from sort of Wallace and Gromit. Maybe Wallace and Gromit Curse the Were Rabbit, see if there's anything there. I think American liberalism is far more right than most American liberals recognise currently. I mean, conservative, of course. Liberalism is American neoliberalism is the dominant form of liberalism that exists and is in its conception a right-wing construction. It's not a by nature, not a left-wing thing. So the rats lumping then. Yeah, I mean, I think they are a dispossessed, sort of criminalised group. I think lumpen would be I don't like the term lumpen proletariat, just sort of personally, I don't really like a term. I don't think it's particularly good, and it feels derogatory, even though it is an analytical term. Partly because Marx used it in quite a derogatory way himself. I think they're a sort of criminalised. The rats are a sort of criminalised, dispossessed group who are pushed to outside the system, but still dependent on it to survive, and which forces them into a life of crime. That's my take on the rats. Have I been surprised at the reaction to the video? Yes. Like I said, I've been surprised. I've been incredibly surprised that people have found it useful. I thought it would be just. I thought it would just be like a bullshit. It's a shit post again. People have been like, oh wow, I really got a lot from this and understanding these theories. I'm like, oh wow, okay, good. I take it with a pinch of salt, please, but good. I'm glad you got something from it. And it's been doing quite well. It's my second most viewed video ever at this point. Assuming it doesn't get taken down from Professor Flowers just commented on it. Assuming it doesn't get taken down from YouTube because of copyright or shite like that. It's been doing well. If it gets demonetized, it'll likely not do as well because, well, if it continues to be demonetized, fucking demonetization is the bane of my life. I would like to pay rent. That would be nice. That's my goal, being able to pay rent. Let's be bold for the end of 2022. I will say now, by the end of 2022, I want to be able to pay rent and survive on YouTube. Maybe I'll have a job. Maybe I can get an academic job that will mean I don't need to do both. But I would like to at least be able to pay rent by the end of 2022. That's the goal. You heard it here first, guys. New Year's resolution. And we'll maybe let's set another goal. We will also say 20,000 subscribers by 2022. We're almost at 12,000 now. I think we could probably do better. Let's say 25,000 by the end of 2022. Does that sound good to folk? We went from 1,000 at the start of this year to almost 12,000 now. I reckon we could get up to 25,000. I think that's a good goal. 25,000 and being able to pay rent. The big leagues, here we come. What was I saying? Sorry, my brain is scattering all over the place. Yes, I was surprised by the reaction to the video. I'm glad people are liking it. I'm glad people are picking up on some jokes. My friend Luke messaged me saying he was pissing himself about describing Ginger as an organic intellectual in the Gramscian sense. When I was writing that line, I was laughing a lot. I find myself funny. Fuck it. Don't judge me. That line and the comparison using Walter Rodney and how the West came to rule to describe Mrs. Tweedy and stagism also made me laugh quite a bit. Those two jokes are my favourite in that video. But yeah, been pleased with it. Pleased with the reaction to it. You've never done film critique. Chicken Run has never been critiqued. A perfect match. Exactly. That's right. Oh, thank you, Annie. That's really kind. I'll take a look at that. I'm bad for checking Patreon, but I will make sure to look at that. John making a 30 minutes long shitpost the best way to explain things. Just look at what. Yeah, I mean, Sinan, I don't want to come into your territory though. We have our own little schools. I don't want to take up your space. Talking for too long can ruin a joke though. I don't know what that is. Someone, Ismail, not sure about John's take there, but there's a few UBI explorations on out and about. I've done one in my series about feeling. Was someone talking about UBI? Whoever was talking about UBI, shove the comment back in chat, and I'll see what to talk about, because I do have a couple takes on UBI that I'm willing to share. Media analysis is an art, not a science. I mean, I've had practice of neither. Mandy, I'm really glad that people do get shit from it, that is useful for people who normally don't really engage with theory. Theories often deliberately obfuscatory. I kind of see the whole point of my channel as a way of trying to bring academic shit in a way that is understandable and accessible to people who don't have. Oh, the person in the flat opposite me is wearing big light up reindeer horns, and that's very festive. What was I saying? For people who don't necessarily have like, aren't used to dealing with theory and can find it quite intimidating. So I'm glad that people that you've got stuff from that. Analysis is just shit posting with sources, John. That's literally what it is. That doesn't make it bad if you can wrangle the message in there and it has value. Exactly. I like how the two last live streams are in tension with each other. There's productive tension between this live stream and the last one. Last one, drinking wine and getting increasingly frustrated about the show London Spy, which still frustrates me. I wake up every day frustrated about that show. And this one just talking about the pristine piece of art that is Chicken Run. Still drinking wine, but a very different vibe. I like it. Sorry, I'm very much behind chat. Let me just catch up on it. Pinch of salt, dash of gravy. People have gotten a lot out of Abby Thorne's philosophy of anime April Fool's video, which is pure shitpost. I won't speak for Abby. I think that is more shitpost than the Chicken Run video is. I think Abby just sort of it was stream of consciousness stuff. I feel like there is, I'm not shots across the bow. I think my Chicken Run video has more meat on its bones than the anime philosophy tube anime video. Just gonna say it. You can bring it up. Take it to Abby. But I think my shitpost video has more meat on its bones. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. We've reached the part of the chat when I was talking. How many subscribers on your content farm before you start eating the ones with lower view counts? And then Harker saying, let's make that happen. Do you want me to eat you, Harker? Ruckley, 50k by 2022, that's not going to happen. 25k I think is a good goal. 25k and being able to pay rent. Big goals for 2022. If I can pay rent, I have savings from living at home during COVID which has been tiding me over a lot. So if I can pay rent, that's my big expense. Now I can live off savings, I think, until I reach the end of my PhD. Maybe get a part-time job. You know what? The fucking academic job market's like full of insecure part-time academic jobs, especially if I don't want to move from London, which I don't. I've just started gathering a life together here, which I like. So paying rent I think is a good starting point. Paying rent and 25k. I think that's a good goal. Goals are made to be exceeded if we exceed them. Saying Ginger could write Foucault, but Foucault couldn't write Chicken Run is so good. That's the thing about that joke. That was off the nut expression, and I fucked up the joke because that's not how that joke even works. It's it's funny, but it's like that's not how that joke works. I should have said, Nick Park could have written Discipline and Punishment, Punish, but Foucault couldn't write Chicken Run. That makes more sense as a joke, but I kind of like the fucked up shitty joke of Ginger could write. I like the idea of Ginger writing Discipline and Punish within the Chicken Run. I think that is powerful, and she probably could as well. Yo bud, top shit posting, it was wonderful. Thank you. Hope I smile. Isabel Meadow, I was just asking for your hot takes of UBI because I'm doing an essay for uni about it. Okay, let's talk about UBI for a little bit. So I think UBI is at best an ameliorative campaign, which can have incredibly poor consequences if it's done badly. Which I suspect it would be done within the current economic system. I don't think a campaign for UBI on its own makes sense for any left-wing project to get behind, because if they're, as we know, Milton Friedman basically, he campaigned for a form of UBI as a way of streamlining state spending in particular ways regarding welfare. So we don't want UBI like that. There are things like UBI might separate the individual from having to sell their labour on the marketplace, but in order for that to be the case, it would have to be set at a level that was well above poverty levels and was able to sustain rent and family and everything like that, which is not something that is going to be given to us in the current neoliberal centre, the current neoliberal stage of life. Even if you're one of the people who thinks neoliberalism is over, you would probably agree that that's not going to happen anytime soon within any sort of global north context, even in the most social democratic states, which, let's be honest, at this point are pretty neoliberal. You're not going to get a sufficiently high level of UBI without a total overhaul of those systems and of those ideologies of governance. So, at best, it is a hypothetical ameliorative to an economic system. At worst, it could make it worse. Lots of UBI stuff has been criticised, particularly by disabled activist groups. I think Inclusion has done some work on that. Maybe don't quote me on that, but I think Inclusion has done some stuff on UBI and why it might not be good for disabled people. Because there's already been, a flattening of all UBI to particular levels would impact those who need more support. So you would need to add on that support to UBI, and rarely is that part of the discourse around UBI as well. So that tends to be my hot take. I would say it's not useless, but it's not the most useful thing that a left political project needs to organise around. There are deeper processes at work which are causing deeper systemic issues than UBI can feasibly solve. Best it's a sticking plaster for an issue that's not going to be solved by it. That's my hot take on UBI. Hope that's useful. I wish I had antlers. You know what happened? So I have one piece of Christmas decorations. I should say I had one piece of Christmas decoration, which was a little Santa gnome, wee Santa gnome, that I stole from a university event a few years ago, and I put him up, and it's my fault. I put him up on top of the microwave in the living room, and I went out, came back, cat had knocked him off, knocked my wee Santa gnome off the microwave onto the floor, and broken it into a million pieces. A right wee shame. So that's what happened to my piece of Christmas decoration. The other stuff that we can't really put up, we've got a kitten in the flat, and the kitten is a fucking wee menace. He causes trouble, he causes issues. There's no way that we can get Christmas decorations up. I should have thought it through before I put the wee Santa up. I thought it maybe be too big for him to destroy, but I was wrong. YouTube academia and presenting theory accessibly to non-academic audiences a goal, and 25% of my PhD funding application. Hey! Good luck with your PhD funding application. They're a fucking nightmare. Look, whoever just compared me to Zizek, that's not on. I'm much better than Zizek. I've not been making up quotes and milking self-plagiarising for decades while being inexplicably racist to people who study post-colonialism. I don't like Zizek. I have pet friends who have interacted with Zizek, who have told me stories about him. And also I just think his theory is shit. And his work is shit. I read one of his books once, it was shit. London Spy is a red wine kind of vibe, and Chicken Run is a white wine kind of vibe. The only reason I'm drinking white wine now is because I'm on camera, and if I was drinking red wine... there are two reasons why I'm drinking white wine right now. Red wine, although being the superior wine, does give me a hell of a hangover these days, which is a nightmare. I hate that. Also, it stains my teeth, and I don't want to be doing a YouTube stream with red teeth. I like them all being white. It's much better. You don't have to be like, oh, hide the red teeth. So that's the reason. I do prefer red wine. I love a good red wine. Remember one time I went to Geneva. This is part of my Human Rights Masters course. We went to Geneva, and the class sort of pooled a bunch of funds, and we got some really nice red wine. And I like red wine already. Maybe too much. But we got this red wine, and it was like... I've never tasted anything like it. It was like... beautiful. It was so good. I could have drunk it for hours. I didn't realise they made wine that nice. And it's like, it annoys me. Because I've been running on this sort of assumption that all wine is just like, basically the same. And they're just trying to con you. Because why wouldn't I think that? I've only ever I once drank a wine that said I once drank a red wine that on its label said I think it was Morrison's own red wine drink, great with pasta or a tomatoey sauce, and I drank it and went, it's not too bad. It was bad. I was lying to myself, and I thought maybe all wine I thought there was like a scale. And like it all kind of fell on the scale. And then I drank this really nice expensive wine, and I was just like, fuck, this is great, this is really nice, fuck's sake, I have to accept that some expensive wine, some expensive stuff that fucking rich folk like is good. Fuming about it. I still think about that wine to this day. It was so good. Sorry chat, I am way behind you guys. I don't like missing people when they're talking. I like talking to I like seeing your comments and talking to you guys. No vote, please. No idea what that relates to, but I'm glad to see it in the chat. UBI is like grain supply during the Roman Empire, bribed workers of the imperial core. Yeah, I think similarly to welfarism in social democratic states, UBI is not a viable revolutionary process. It's not going to fix any of the world problems. Yeah, you're right there. Is Ginger literate at all? I mean, we see various times throughout the entirety of Chicken Run that Ginger is pointing at signs, pointing at diagrams, she's writing things down. It's very clear that Ginger is literate. I will take... I'm not saying that to be a revolutionary one needs to be literate, or to be a revolutionary leader one needs to be literate, but it is quite clear, made quite clear throughout the film that Ginger is literate. She writes, she can read, she can draw, at least Mac can do equations, at least. So yeah, none of this slander. Ginger's a chicken. Annie, oddly enough, saying the intersection of disability most definitely is dismissed quite often because it complicates things in ways able folks do not like to contend with. Yeah, so we're going to talk about a lot about disability in not the next video, the next but one video. I want to talk about, there was something that I think was missing as in my video on neoliberal feminism, in the sort of section where I was talking about rather than intersectionality, the social reproductive idea of ontological co-constitutive nature of class, race and gender. Ableism, or ableness and disability, was missing from that, and I want to rectify that sort of omission rather than mistake. I want to rectify that omission, and I'm going to do a whole video on disability as a class relation, using social reproductive theory to understand disability as a class relation, and how disability is created and sustained by capitalist society, society as disabling. Stuff that I get, some of this stuff is derived from my PhD work as well. I spoke to folk in disability rights campaigns, and I worked briefly for inclusion and disability, disabled people's organisation. So we're going to draw on some stuff there to try and do something interesting with disability, which I think is still consistently under discussed on not just Left Wing YouTube, but in Left Wing Spaces. You see, I think there was an interesting moment a few months back where people were talking about. So there was some people. Excuse me, 1 second. There was some people who were misusing ableism to try and delegitimize strike action. But what that obscured was that there is, within a lot of labour movement and strike action, a lack of care, a lack of concern about disability and how that is impacted and how it impacts strike and direct action. And I think that a lot of labour movements need to contend with the idea that in doing strike action, you need to establish radically different ways of caring for your community, whether that is the community of workers, whether that is the community of, your local community that you live in, and that has to be entirely sensitive to and breaking down the barriers between abledness and disability. I think that's something that's under-discussed within left-wing spaces, which is worth talking about. So that's sort of going to be the I've not planned it or written it, I've just started doing the research now. Aaron Jaff's Social Reproduction Theory has a good section in Chapter 3 on disability, which I've started doing the research for. And Transgender Marxism also has a really good chapter on social reproduction and disability. Again, we've gone off track and I'm behind chat. Sorry, chat. This is what you get. Rambling, drinking wine, I don't know how long we're gonna keep going until I finish this wine at least. So I've got like this glass and then maybe one more. It's 3 glasses. You should be getting more than. No, never mind. I like that UBI keeps people in poverty alive. I don't like that it supports capitalist technologies of government. Yeah, I mean it's welfare. I mean it's at most welfare. If you know French, I hear Bernard Friot has a lot to say about living wage, and which is definitely a UBI. I don't know French. I wish I did know French. I wish I knew other languages. I need to learn. I need to get my German better. I used to be almost conversational in German. I used to have a German pen pal that we used to speak. She used to speak me in English, and I spoke to her in German. I used to have almost conversational German, and now it's just gone. I need to get better at that. I tried to learn Spanish a while back using Duolingo, and the fucking Duolingo fascist fucking bird, the owl, can go fuck himself. I hate that fucking piece of shit arsehole. Oh, you've not done your Duolingo. Fuck you, I've been busy. I don't have time to do your fucking Duolingo bits and bobs today, you dickhead. Leave me be. It's like sometimes my running app, right? I will go for a run, and I will not use the running app because I've been at the gym using the running machine, and the running app will be like, looks like you need to do a run. You've not done a run in this many. It's like, fuck you. I didn't download you to judge me. Stop it. Fucking filled with rage. Gonna tear apart the robots with my bare hands. Gonna go full Devon on them. Oh, we're down at cats. We are so far behind. UBI disability things really relevant to my. Excuse me. Oh, hi, Ron the Anarchist. Welcome. Sorry, I'm very much behind. I'm trying to catch up. You all say interesting shit, and I want to read it. So I'm trying to just make sure I don't miss anyone out. We're back at cats. Disability situation also because of some money, but the money doesn't help if that money doesn't get you the help you need. Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah, Annie, oddly enough, that's a salient point. Champagne? Someone's just saying champagne. I mean, you know, maybe I should have got Prosecco today. At the Sainsbury's they were selling Prosecco for £3.50. Maybe I should have got Prosecco. I do have a really nice whiskey up above the fridge as well. My flatmate, who's a gem, absolute lovely guy, bought me a really nice whiskey for an early Christmas present, which is so annoyingly thoughtful. I have no idea what I can get him in return. Something as thoughtful as because he got me this whiskey. Oh, fucking lovely guy. We were just out at a pub, and I just happened to mention offhand that this particular whiskey, it was like Talisker 10-year-old whiskey, is like my favourite. I really love it. And a few days later, maybe a week later, he comes in and is like, I got you this because you said it was your favourite. I'm like, as an early Christmas present. It's like, man, this is so thoughtful. This is so annoyingly thoughtful. I'm not this thoughtful. I don't know how to return this favour. You're too nice. Again, lost track. Champagne, that's what we're talking about. Tim Foilpain, even John, when do we go from socialist to parasocialist? We're fully in the parasocial relationship now, and you know that because I love each and every one of you. I am pro-cat as well. Marcus, my main gripe with cats is my allergies to us. I also believe cats should exist. I just don't see why anyone would live with them. Also, they're fascists. I am incredibly allergic to Siamese cats. If I go within like 10 meters of a Siamese cat, there is a legitimate chance I will die. Siamese cats, guinea pigs are the two worst. Horses a little bit, and hamsters and that a little bit as well. And other types of cats can make me kind of allergic, but Siamese cats and guinea pigs can kill me if I go too close to them. Asthma and allergies don't mix very well. But this cat, this wee bastard, apparently is hypoallergenic, and I don't get allergic to him, so I'm tempted to believe it. I have no allergic reaction to this cat at all, which is very good. I'm very glad of that, because he is often in this room trying to... You know what he does when he comes in this room? Like, he waits outside my door for me to open it, and he runs in. He doesn't do anything else. He bolts straight in, and he jumps on my desk trying to eat these. A duck that a friend got me, and this little cat that my mum got me. And he's so obsessed with trying to destroy them. And like, it's a constant battle to try and stop him from doing so. He's lovely. I love this wee bastard. Stop trying to eat my duck. What do you think about the argument that UBI could strengthen the working class politically because it strikes them more sustainable if you can get by without working for a boss? So any increase to welfarism is going to make it easier to do strike action. That is the case. But how are you going to... the issue is, like, how are you organising around this claim? Are you organising a massive groundswell of public action to demand a UBI? And if that's the case, what is the point of the UBI if you can do it without it? If you can, like, organise around this claim without the UBI, then what's the point of it? That is an issue, I think. I mean, it's true that one of the reasons that welfare was initially challenged and rescinded and means tested during the miners' strikes in the beginning of neoliberalism was because it limited the power of striking miners. So the removal of the means of, what I would call the means of social reproduction provided by the state has lessened working class power, for sure. I don't think agitating around the return of a social democratic means of social reproduction is going to produce any sort of large-scale political action that we need to deal with the sort of conditions that we have now. And I think that the action that we would need to demand a UBI is the same action that we would need to demand these other things as well. So at that point, why stop at UBI? Why not go further? That would be my sort of off-the-dome response there. Annie, I'm not sure what this relates to, but the quote, "I'm okay with you existing, just don't like how you exist" thing, sounds bad, don't know what it relates to, hope it wasn't something I said. Hey, Ron crashed through the ceiling of chat. Glad to have you here. It would be really cool to learn about ableism. Recently realised how ignorant I am about that. Next video, like I said, we're probably at that part. Fuck it, we're good. Let's just go down. Down to where we are. Anything interesting going on here? You're all interesting, by the way. Never let anyone tell that you're not interesting. Yeah, we're on Duolingo. Scrolling down. Everyone hates the Duolingo level. Get my family a copy of Chicken Run. I mean, it's the greatest film. I was thinking about getting a wee cat jumper or something for him to enjoy, because the cat is his cat. Even though he likes jumping in my room and eating my shit. So I was thinking about maybe getting him like a wee cat jumper or something. That'd be quite nice. Oh, I'm sorry so I just read a comment that says, "Have to check out before John catches up to chat." I'm sorry. If you end up watching this, I'm sorry. We're just... the comment was about cats being fascist law. Oh, okay, cool. Okay. We is such a useful word. Do other people not use we? I thought we was like... I remember saying this to a friend of mine, a Chicagoan friend of mine, and being like, do you guys say we? And he was like, yeah, we say we. So I wasn't sure if it's just like an English thing that they don't say we, or if it's like a weirdly regionalised thing where like Scottish and Irish and then some parts of America say we. Nice wee gift. I like the word we. It's a useful wee thing. There we go, useful wee thing. Fuck. I've been having a really nice stream, by the way. I was kind of feeling a bit shit because of the money, the video being demonetized when it arrived, and again, because I didn't get all that much sleep last night, so I was almost gonna cancel it, but I'm glad I didn't. I've been enjoying this. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're not ending anytime soon. I've still got lots of wine to go. By the way, from now on, if you want me to say some fucking spicy shit, we're entering the almost drunk a bottle of wine phase. Ask me questions, I'll say some. I'll give some off the dome opinions. Let's get cancelled. Let's do John JTD Danger Hour. JTD Danger Hour, where he sees how many opinions he can get cancelled for. How am I still drinking it? Because I've been chatting. Not even focused on drinking. I've been on for an hour and I've almost drunk. I mean, a bottle of wine in an hour is not too bad. I'm probably going to have another whiskey after this before we go because it's really nice. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think an hour is too bad for drinking a bottle of wine. Just moving one of the things over. Spicy John hour, exactly. That's right, Mandy. That's where we are now. I just realised my brain is fogged today. I just realised I could move the chat from one monitor to another. I didn't realise. I mean, I did realise I could do that. I don't know why I didn't think of it. I've just been like peering at your comments. But now I can see you all. Joking aside, do you know much about the Gyeonggi Dong? Sorry, I don't know the pronunciation there. UBI experiment in Korea. All I know is UBI designed to keep the money in the local economy. I don't know about that, unfortunately. UBI seems to me one of those things that was a particular... It was like a particular campaign for a kind of left that was still embroiled in some degree of social democratic politics between, say, Trump's election and the failure of Bernie and the primaries and the failure of Corbyn in the UK. And this is, of course, a very Anglo-centric way of looking at things. But there seems to I will not be able to tell you much about world outside the Anglo. I know a little bit about some small areas outside of the Anglo sort of world, but these are areas which I know most about. UBI seemed to be most popular in those sort of times when there was less direct antipathy towards straight up social democratic action, and I wonder if now that there is more antipathy from at least the left, however much that exists. It was a big part of Yang's campaign. Yeah, I think that kind of meant that I think that was bad for UBI as a policy option. I think Yang didn't do it justice because he's a horrible prick, and his vision of UBI, obviously, once he sort of published some details about it, it ended up being really poverty wages, not enough to survive on. I think Yang probably had a kind of detrimental effect on it. It definitely critiques neoliberalism. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's a response to me or to someone else. There aren't. I don't know if this is what you were saying. So if it's not what you were saying, then ignore me. UBI can be neoliberal, as we've seen with people like Milton Friedman having particular ideas of UBI. About particular kinds of neoliberalism. There's I'm not going to get into this too much right now, but there's differences between the Friedmanite and Hayekian views of neoliberalism. The Friedmanite one would argue that the streamlining of state services to reduce state spending would be quite good, as long as a UBI kept people searching for work, then that's fine. So there are neoliberal forms of UBI for sure. Makes notes that this was a Christian stream. Caritas saying, did you talk about boycotting Christmas because Santa is exploiting the elves and not paying them the minimum wage? Sorry, I was away. I waited an hour to book a booster shot only to find no free slots. I don't know the working conditions of elves. But if they should unionise. I would hope that they were unionised. If they're not, then that is a risk. I know some organisers. If you are a Santa's elf and you feel like you need to organise, get in touch. I know some organisers who can help you with this. They mainly work out of the UK, but they should be able to give you some advice on asking your colleagues questions, questioning things like why do we not get dental treatment, why do we not get holidays, why are some people paid more than others. Start asking those questions. Remember, elves, the idea that you don't ask other people's salaries because it's rude is a capitalist ploy. You want to make sure that you're always asking, always communicating with your fellow workers so that you know exactly what you're up against. And I know Santa is basically a demigod, and that makes it more complicated. But you could cancel Christmas if you wanted, so you have some power. So remember, elves, if you're being treated poorly, if you feel like you're being treated poorly, even if you don't feel like you're being treated poorly, but you just have questions, my DMs are open. I talk some shite, don't I? Did you see FT Signifier's video you were mentioning, John? I did see that. It was quite a funny way I saw that, because it was a long video. I don't have all that much time in my life right now. He says drinking a bottle of wine and doing a 2-hour stream, but this is work. But my brother messaged me saying it was like I was haunting him. By the way, my brother, Pretty Grim Productions, go and subscribe to his YouTube. I'm going to put it in chat in a second. He's an artist and a filmmaker, makes fun films, lots of little adverts he's been making recently since COVID, but he also makes longer short films that are good to watch. One of them features my dad. Worth a watch. Anyway, he messaged me saying it was like I was haunting him, because every time he watches a new YouTube video, either my voice appears or I get mentioned, which is really nice, I think. The first thing that happened with the Unlearning Economics last video, I read a quote for Unlearning Economics, and then that FD Signifier video when I was mentioned in, which was incredibly kind, and he was way kinder than to me than he needed to be in that video, even the small amount of times that I was mentioned, and it was really weird in that video, because he mentioned, like, it was like FD was like, first you had folk like Sean and H Bomber Guy, and then you have the newer people like John the Duncan. I was like, like, what? I don't know if I should be mentioned alongside those people. I don't think that's a particularly fair comparison to them. But it was very kind. It was a very good video as well, and a very useful video. If you're watching a video on like Cat Black's video on why breadsheet is so white and FD Signifier's video are probably the best that you're gonna get for videos on that theme. Yeah, he's been doing it shorter than I have, and he's much better at it than me. Hence why he has much more subscribers than me. It's a very good video. Tinfoil Pain. I want to know your opinions on beer and why we have collectively agreed to pretend it's not piss water. I like beer. Beer is good. Like Innocent Fugitive is saying, bad beer is bad, good beer is good. I like beer, I like ales, I like real ales, I like IPAs, I will drink almost anything. Yeah, I like a beer. A nice refreshing beer. I was almost going to get a beer tonight, but I've decided that the vibe for these streams is white wine. So we're going to be doing white wine on these streams from now on. Well, from now on, since like a few weeks ago. I'm having a bad time, drink some wine. That's what I'm saying. Abby, Philosophy Tube, lights a candle. I'll drink a bottle of wine. We have different vibes. Ron the Anarchist, I have a... sorry Ron, I missed your comment there. Ron the Anarchist was saying that you have a video on Akira, on how it's anarchist. I would like to watch that. I like Akira. It's one of my favourite animes because I'm basic. I like Akira. Ron the Anarchist, yeah, speaking as someone who followed the election very closely, that's kind of Misnomer Yang was going to enact UBI by cutting social services to the bone. Yeah, that's exactly that's exactly the problem with a lot of the UBI shit. There was a book I read at the start of the year which is worth reading, and I should read it again because it was good, about automation. Let's see, it'll be on my Instagram. If you want to follow the books I'm reading, follow me on Instagram. I keep track of books I'm reading there, and what I've read there. It's 2021 books. I'm hiccuping. Let's see. It was early on. Bullshit. Automation and the Future of Work by Aaron Benanav. That was quite good. It offered some good critiques of UBI. Yeah. Emil Vagland, thanks for the ledger, but also named you, John. No worries. This is like, we're using comments to jump off as jumping off points. Just to see what we're talking about. The essay I'm writing, Isabel's saying the essay I'm writing is a policy proposal for hypothetical Labour government, by the way. So it's coming from the perspective of it being useful for social democrats already in power. Okay, yeah, that's an interesting proposal. I would suggest saying... there's a lot of assumptions at work in that sort of essay question. Is this... I'll keep talking, but just for my own interest, is this an undergraduate essay or a postgraduate essay? So I would suggest that for a Labour government is something that you would have to question. If it was a useful policy proposal for a Labour government, you can imagine a pretty radical one. And you would have to... I think the best that you could do is set the UBI high so that it wasn't keeping particular people in poverty, and you would have to have some caveats for disability. It could be part of a wider reformation of the welfare system, which is at this point incredibly bureaucratic and obfuscatory. For anyone who hasn't watched my video on working and welfare rights, to get a a glimpse at what working in welfare is like, give that a watch. That was last year's Christmas video. Yeah, so if you combine it with like a reformation of the entire welfare system, simplification, reformation, universalizing of the welfare system, then you could probably create quite a good policy proposal for a social democratic government in that sense. I would suggest maybe thinking about where the potential problems with UBI lie that we've talked about already today, and think about ways that you could plug that within this very limited frame. That is my teacher voice on and my advisor voice on. So yeah, I hope that's useful. I like teaching and advising. It's one of my favourite. Like some folk, some people I know, some academics I know, are like incredible people who are going to change the fields they work in. And I just want to be a good teacher. I like teaching. I like supervising. I like advising. It's fun. So I hope that's useful. Everyone should check out Harker the Storyteller, and Kaelin Conrad's video on whatever the topic was. Hopefully worker organisation or elves. Either way, I'm not sure. We are. What do you mean, Isabel? We're operating under the assumption that elves exist. There are elves. Who makes the presents? I don't want to make fun of chat, but who makes the presents? Have I seen Jose's video on Christianized but still somehow generic Santa? I have not. I have been so busy lately that I've been unable to. I've fallen behind on so many of my friends' videos. I wish I could watch everyone's videos on everything. I just don't have the time, unfortunately. So I've not seen Jose's video. Yeah, unfortunately. Sorry, I did sneeze there. Yeah. Watch all the videos. Yeah, I'll watch all the videos. We're gonna try a different tactic right now. Sorry to people who've. Oh, good night, Marcus. Sorry to see you go. We're gonna try and keep up with chat. How does that sound? Chat, fire us some questions. Let's see if we can keep up with you. You wee maniacs. What does folk want to know? What's on the brain? Type faster, motherfuckers. Favourite book this year? Tiddy Bhattacharya's Social Reproduction Theory. That book, along with Necropolitics, by Akhil Mbembe, which is more flawed than Tiddy Bhattacharya's work. They've both been the most influential works on my developing political thought this year. Both are worth reading. Both worth reading critically, but very much worth reading. Tiddy Bhattacharya's Social Reproduction Theory for sure. I've not read any fiction, unfortunately. I don't have the time. I wish I did. How did your parents decide to make your middle name the, and what are your feelings on it? So, let's do two stories there. My middle names are Lindsay McEwen. John Lindsay McEwen Duncan. Lindsay, after my uncle Lindsay, who works in the oil business, and, not a fan of that. From the Shetland Islands, my family. So there's lots of oil stuff there. But he never had a son, so Mum named me after him. And McEwen after my granny's side of the family, my granny Duncan's side of the family, who were bad people. So, great middle names. The name John the Duncan, I think it was just when I was signing up to Twitter, I was just looking for John Duncans. There's so many John Duncans, so I just picked John Lee Duncan. And when I was starting the channel, I already had a fairly decent Twitter following. I had like 2,000 maybe Twitter followers. So I was like, I'll just keep it the same as my Twitter name. I wish I'd called it like Spilljoy, the character that I played in the Liberal Cooks AI video, because that is a great name for a YouTube channel, Spilljoy. Fuck. What's something I learned recently, but and keep thinking about? Something I learned recently and keep thinking about. I don't know. Something that I learned recently. A lot of the stuff I have been learning has been sort of building upon stuff I previously learned. And it's not like I keep thinking about it. So a lot of the stuff that I was talking about in that book, Tiddy Bhattacharya's Social Reproduction Theory, which I read back in like May or something, was a complete reformation of how I look at the world. But a lot of the stuff I've learned since then is like building upon that work. And I'm not sure I don't know if there's something I've learned recently that I keep thinking about. I can't think of anything, unfortunately. Do I smoke weed? Not in a while. I don't have any hookups in London. When was the last time I smoked weed? Last time I smoked weed was probably when I was living in Glasgow. I used to be in a band, and we were very stereotypical. We used to smoke weed while writing music, and that was very fun. I like weed. Lots of people don't like weed. I kind of like it. Makes me chilled out. I like laughing. Reading Nkrumah. I should read Nkrumah. Yeah. What's something you recently found out that I was wrong about? I mean, I'm wrong about stuff all the time, so it's hard to pick shit that I'm specifically wrong about. I mean, stuff that I was specifically wrong about. I don't know. I don't know if there's like anything that I've had any sort of connection to or like commitment to as a position that I would note when I've been wrong about it. So I recently found out I was wrong about. There's things like, so in the Aaron Jaff Social Reproduction book, and we're talking about social reproduction a lot now, there's a lot of critique of Lisa Vogel and Federici on their view of womanhood in terms of how their arguments are set out in both of their pinnacle works, whether that is Women in Marxism, I believe is the Lisa Vogel book, or Caliban and the Witch. And it's less that I was wrong about that and more that there are extra dimensions that you can critique of their work to make them more radical. And I think that's a more useful way of looking at things than necessarily what are you wrong about, but how can you develop on things that you care about in a way that's generative. So the author Aaron Jaff doesn't say like Federici is wrong, but does say there are theoretical tendencies within Caliban and the Witch which can be built upon in ways which are more generative than she initially dealt with, and that's useful. That's a useful thing. Favourite fiction book. My favourite fiction books. So my three favourite fiction books are Ursula Le Guin's The Dispossessed, China Melville's Kraken, and Barbara Kingsolver's The Poisonwood Bible. Three great books that everyone should read. The Dispossessed, about anarchist society versus basically a capitalist society. On the one hand, Kraken is a great sort of China Melville adventure story about magic in London, and Poisonwood Bible is a really interesting story which follows the narratives of five female members of this Christian evangelical missionary family who go to the DRC during the revolutionary and decolonial period, to spread missionary words, and it's like a examination of how these different female figures interact with their domineering patriarch and with the world around them, and it's a really, really interesting book. So those are probably my favourite fiction books. Do I like pumpkin ale? I don't think I've tried pumpkin ale. I probably like it. There are other options, of course, were John Scotland McScottish Duncan. Yes, yeah, it's a very Scottish name, isn't it? John Lindsay McEwen Duncan. I might as well be fucking haggis flavoured. John, what's your take on crisp bread discussions taking place on Twitter? I have no idea what that is, and no fucking drive to find out. Are you going to see the new Spider-Man? I'm probably not in cinemas. I'll probably watch it, download it at some point. My sister saw it the other day and really enjoyed it. I'm not like morally against Marvel films in terms of like them being films, but I won't see it. My greatest shame is that I didn't get to see. So I was planning to go and see Dune with some friends, but one of them was out of the country for a while. We had this group chat going. We were trying to figure out when to go, and no one had time, so I didn't get to see it. And I'm not gonna go and see the first movie I see post COVID in the cinemas isn't gonna be fucking Spider-Man. It's gonna be something good. If you're super open to changing your mind, being wrong isn't really something that sticks with you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm like the most fucking. I will defend my positions, and obviously I'm not exactly like I'm not one of those people who's like, I'm so open-minded, I'll change to new information. Like, I will defend my position hard. Oh, that's a lot of wine. And like, I will defend myself if people say I'm wrong. I just can't think of anything that's been particularly salient in terms of being outright wrong recently. Maybe it's just because I'm yeah, I just don't know. I got a question to make him fall behind chat. Do you think we'll ever implement a social system or framework that's resilient to dishonesty? Resilient to dishonesty. I think that the questions are less resilient to dishonesty and more what produces dishonesty in the first place. Does it matter if something is dishonesty? Yeah, that Harker, that's what I said. John is immune to being wrong. That's right. I'm never wrong. Quote me on it. I dare you. I'm fucking right all. I'm like the fucking Terminator of being right. Just sitting there like, I'll be right. Exactly, I'll be right. Dishonesty isn't the metric that I would organise society around or organise society to prevent. I'd be more concerned with an increase in conglomeration of power in particular areas, resources and wealth and whatever, rather than dishonesty. Because what does dishonesty matter if it doesn't relate to material power? I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, I don't think dishonesty is the vector I would use there. Clipped. That's right, Harker. What kind of music do I like to listen to? Let's bring up Spotify and take a look. I've got quite a few different playlists. So, my fucking Spotify Wrapped was my sleep playlist which is really depressing. Which was just like what I need to stop the silence from creeping in at night. But I like a lot of the one thing in my Spotify Wrapped that wasn't ambient or soundtrack was alternative hip hop, which makes me sound much cooler than I am. But I've been on a kick recently with Young Fathers. If anyone doesn't know Young Fathers are a Edinburgh-based hip hop band who are really fucking good. I saw Real Lies recently, who are kind of like almost like a 90s throwback garage, like not American garage, like UK garage band, who are really good. I like funk, I like hip hop. That new I like rock. Rage Against the Machine are good. Hip hop, can I dance? That should not even be a question. I'm a fucking incredible dancer. Obviously. Look at me. This sounds like a shitpost. No, I am a great dancer. I used to, in nightclubs, I used to, this is going to sound weird. Nightclubs are really sort of weird spaces, where you get like men acting weirdly. Never liked that. I found that when people in nightclubs used to dance, and like try to get with each other, I would be so focused on dancing that I would not notice people trying to get with me, and I'd be like, Annabelle, that is cruel. That is cruel. I'm a great dancer. Ask anyone who's seen me dance. So I'd had friends who'd be like, John, that person's trying to get with you, and I'd be like, oh, I thought they were just trying to make me move out the way. I was busy dancing. I had no notice of these petty concerns of horny people. I'm here to dance. That's why I'm here. I don't give a fuck about all the other stuff. I'm here to feel the funk, feel the groove, and just move it. I mean, this sounds bad. I promise you, I'm good at dancing. Big JTD Drunk Hour Discourse. If you've read any, to what extent would you say queer theory a fundamental neoliberal project and therefore useless as a political? Queer theory isn't. I wouldn't say queer theory is in any way a neoliberal project. At all. I don't think that. I think there are ways in which, there are always ways in which subaltern theories and movements are attempted to be absorbed into the hegemonic. That doesn't negate the usefulness of those subaltern projects. I mean, queerness. You look at say the queer liberation movement of the 1990s was specifically negating some of the more heteronormative aspects of gay liberation movement. Say the white cis bourgeois men who dominated a lot of the gay liberation movement, and then there was a breaking down of those norms with the queer liberation movement. So yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's in itself at all in itself nearly close to neoliberal. It is queer theory is generative and useful to breaking down the barriers that we that are put in place for maintaining neoliberal hegemony. Remember, neoliberal hegemony tries to maintain traditional morality, and often it does that by making subaltern identities more heteronormative by saying like focusing on gay marriage as the ultimate liberatory goal. It's like fitting liberation within this heteronormative framework. So that's one way in which neoliberalism seeks to defang these like movements like that. The other way is to just, like the right wing, get rid of them. Like the right wing of neoliberalism will just attack trans rights, just attack gay rights, all of it, just to reinforce traditional morality. So those are the sort of two ways. I think queer theory is good. Someone else had your chat mess about Green Day. Can I say aluminium? Okay, yeah, I'm a dancing monkey. I will say your fucking words for you. Aluminium. Are you happy now? Aluminium. This is what I am. This is what I'm reduced to. Saying aluminium to strangers in my chat. Annabelle, I missed going out as well. I had a really good stretch between like October and November, where I was going out every weekend. Disaffected Gen Xer, I refuse. I refuse. If you want me to say that, fucking super chat it, motherfucker. I'm not your fucking. I am not your plaything. Yeah, I had a good stretch. I did some dancing between October and November, which was good. I missed dancing a lot. Other people had some questions. Chat message about Green Day, I missed that. What movie would you recommend to play with Chicken Run in a communist movie double header? I guess the obvious one is Bug's Life. That's about. It still has monarchies and issues like that, but it's not as perfect a metaphor, but it does have its usefulness. The little man standing up against the stronger one who's stealing their labour, appropriating their surplus value. Bug's Life, maybe. Mogwai. Yeah, listen to it, Mogwai. Mogwai's good for drifting off to sleep with. How much is left in the glass? This is the last of the wine. Month later, reply guy. That's not even the line. The line is, I'm tired of making minuscule profits. Ants. I've seen ants once. We Can I say I'm Anisha 12. I am proud of you. All of you have achieved everything you've done. I am proud of you. I've seen ants. I saw ants years ago. But we had Bug's Life on video when we were kids, on VHS videotape. So that's what we watched. I don't really remember what ants was all about. The glass is more than half full. I've not read the Expanse books. My fiction. I wish I could read more fiction. I wish I had that time on my hands. The last fiction book I read was Great Expectations. I reread Great Expectations last Christmas. After we watched the Armando Iannucci David Copperfield movie, I decided to watch. I decided to read Great Expectations, and Dickens is good. Like, I mean, every year I read Christmas Carol, because I like to see how Charles Dickens ripped off Muppets Christmas Carol, removed all the music from it. But I read it every year and I enjoy it. Dickens is really Dickens can create a character within like 2 sentences, and you know who that character is and exactly what their vibe is, and that is impressive. Like, there's some disdain, understandable disdain, because Dickens is being viewed as these, like, you get people viewed as the greats. And May Spitfire, do I have a favourite musical? Yes, Muppets Christmas Carol. Keep up. Dickens gets viewed as like one of the greats, and that can be boring for people, and you're forced to read it. And like, there's so many other great writers that aren't boring Englishmen. But he is good. You do have to give it to him. You do have to give it to Dickens. He's good. What's my favourite video game? And are you part of a gamer minority? My favourite video game. So I always had Nintendos growing up. So I have a Switch right now. I am And this is going to sound like I am bragging, because we just talked about how good I am at dancing. I'm fucking incredible at Mario Kart. I'm fucking incredible at Mario Kart. It's not my favourite game, but I'm fucking brilliant at it. My favourite game, I really like Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild. I like the Zelda games a lot. I wish they would release Majora's Mask for the Switch, because I would buy that in a second. I really like, the Zelda games are probably my favourite games. I'm not much of a gamer, but I do like those games. I'm starting to wonder if my favourite childhood movie is Anarchist. I can see some themes in Jurassic Park. Ooh, yeah, I could see that. Certainly I could see that. Yeah, we are all proud of you, Anisha12. We are all proud of you. Ron the Anarchist. I'm interested to hear what you think people misunderstand about A Christmas Carol. You know what's interesting about A Christmas Carol? Before it, Christmas wasn't really celebrated. It was celebrated, but not to the extent that it is now in Victorian England, and it was Dickens that really generated Christmas as we know it through A Christmas Carol, which is impressive. Good job. You know, I've never actually seen Muppets Treasure Island. I should watch it. I do like the Muppets, and I do like what's his face from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Why have I forgotten his name? Someone's going to correct me soon. Dickens is a way of wrapping you in depression and then cheering you up with occasional warmth for good character. I mean, yeah, he's good. He's just good. He's good at writing. Dickens, I will give it to him. The spirits that visited Scrooge were meant for him. They weren't the same spirits that would visit any person under any circumstances. They were meant for him. Also, that visit by those spirits was a gift. It was a gift from the only friend Scrooge had in life. Yeah. It wasn't a punishment for sure. I would say maybe rather than the spirits themselves are specifically for Scrooge, maybe the manifestation of those spirits is specifically for Scrooge. I feel like the past, present, future is that seems like a bureaucratic thing. Who's past for this guy? Who's present? Who's future? I'm not familiar with Metal Gear Solid 2, I'm afraid. Tim Curry, thank you folks. I knew you guys would pull through. Julia, is that how you pronounce your name? I hope so. Julia Jones, just wanted to say that I really enjoyed the Chicken Run vid, and the stream has been fab background noise to knitting my grandma's present. I am very glad. Very glad you've enjoyed it, and enjoyed the stream. This has been a good stream. I'm very glad that I did this. What's my favourite non-UK based food? Non-UK based? Ooh, what does that mean? I mean, I like... Do curries count? I really like a curry. I'm vegetarian, so that sort of, it tends to limit the food that you can have from different places. Do I have Tumblr? I do. I've not used it in a long time. I used to use it when I had fewer subscribers and I didn't have to just constantly be spamming every single platform whenever I released a video. I've not logged into Tumblr in a long time. It's just videos. It's just me posting videos. I knew it. I never had it. It was like, I never used it for anything. I remember someone, where is it? It's probably John the Duncan. I have no idea. I remember a friend of mine saying I had a Tumblr sense of humour, which I didn't know what that meant, but it felt like an insult. it personally really galls me that every iteration of that story is the same story. Why can't you have a different story about a different person who needs to hear a different message? Yeah, I guess so. I guess you'd have to be from a filmmaking perspective. If you're going to call something a Christmas Carol and then it's a completely different story, people are going to be weirded out and confused by it. Oh my god, Annabelle B. Wow, although I suppose it's better than the time my friend said I looked like the kind of person who finds Big Bang Theory funny. There is no coming back from that. That is devastating. That is devastating. One time in first year at university, a friend of mine once said, we were like, who's the most likely to be a Tory here? And someone pointed to me. And this was like the first week we'd known them, so I hadn't really gotten fully into like describing communist revolution. And they were like, yeah, John's probably most likely to be a Tory. I was like, how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you come to me and label me like that? That is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Yeah, that's a harsh one. Oh, Bean McQueen, fuck you. I once watched in a flatmate of mine watching the show Two Broke Girls, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It was like this. There was this sketch. Well, I don't know if it wasn't a sketch. Two Broke Girls was a sitcom, and I walked in and my flatmate was watching this movie, this show, and she was laughing away, and one of the characters was like, I need to plan my wedding or something. So like, oh, I hated my wedding planner, so I fired him, and I got a new one. And this guy walks in and he walks in with this like stereotypical gay way and goes like, hey, it's like so derogatory and horrible, and everyone laughs and my flatmate laughs, and then the character goes, isn't he great? He'll plan my wedding. He is gay, and then everybody laughs, and I like looked at my flatmate like, why is this funny? Can you explain to me the joke here? Because it seems like there is none. It seems like the joke is, man, be gay. And that doesn't seem like a joke to me. Like, it's not even like a joke about someone who is gay. It's not even a joke that, it's just, man is gay. It was so unfunny. And it was baffling to me. Maybe that was the worst 30 seconds of TV I've ever seen. It's not even a joke, Hannibal. You're right. It's not a joke. I don't mean that in the way like, it's not constructed as a joke. It's so weird. How long have we been going? Oh, almost 2 hours. Shall we start wrapping up? It seems like people have run out of questions. I've had several people asking on the Raj, they go, fucking hell. That is grim. Yeah, should we start wrapping up? Unless anyone's got any more pressing questions, anything they want to ask, any topics, sing a song. Not right now. I can link my you know what I'll do? I'll link my Bandcamp page if anyone wants that. That has me singing songs on it, including the music I use for the videos. Oh, ask a silly question for sure. What's the question, Ron? Ron, put the question in the group chat and I'll answer it. Oh, I need to get Christmas presents. That's okay, disaffected Gen Xer. What's the song I like to play? I play the guitar, yeah. What's a fun song to play on the guitar? I've not got my guitar down with me, so it's been a while. I'll play it when I get back up. I like the song... You know the film Inside Llewyn Davis? The song Fare Thee Well is a really fun song to both sing and play on the guitar. It's a really easy, nice song to play on the guitar. So yeah, that's a nice song. So I feel bad for Ron being unable to ask the question. Strategically censor it, yeah. Oh, Tom Brady. I don't know if I've talked about this before. I started my undergraduate degree doing a joint honours in politics, journalism and psychology. Oh, cracker. Ron, I'll get to that in a second. So I started a degree in politics, journalism and psychology. And the journalism course at Strathclyde University was so bad. It was run by a local newspaper editor of that. I think it was a Haddington Herald or something. And a sub-editor at the Scottish Sun, which is a tabloid. And a lot of it was based on finding ways to doorstep people who'd lost family members in tragedies, whether it was car crashes, whatever. And I hated every second of it. And I later found out, this isn't going to help you in any way, by the way, this is just a story. I found out later on from a guy I was in a band with, actually, who was a journalist, and took the Strathclyde University Master's class in journalism, that course that he took was so complained about and so bad that they got rid of it as a master's course and turned it into the honours course that I did and that I stopped doing. And it was horrible. It was a horrible, horrible class. I don't know if I've got any advice for that. Keep your principles. Don't be fucked over by the pressures of journalism. What do I think of Cracker Discourse? I think it's incredibly funny. What a fucking... I mean, first of all, obviously Cracker isn't a slur. Come on. Let's be adults here. Secondly, funny, undeniably funny, that Vosh gets banned from anywhere. Less funny that Hassan, and Hassan's not great, but at least he's not Vosh. It's just funny, like fucking idiots who think that cracker is a fucking slur. Come on, get a grip. Get a grip, idiots. There's not much to say. It's not really reached British Twitter that much. It just seems stupid. Everyone here is like, this is fucking stupid. Yeah, fucking nonsense. Did you ever have a plumber come over to your house and replace your toilet seat with a super tiny one, and you can't take a shit in your own house? No. That never happened. Yeah, oh my god, it's mostly befriend cops and Kunzberg is a great journalist. Jesus Christ. That sounds awful, man. I'm sorry. That just sounds shite. That's Anthony's new tagline. At least it's not Bosch. Yeah, Ron, it's not worth more than that. It's bullshit. It's just bullshit. I mean, unless like, is the idea of saying like it's the first time in centuries that white people have felt any sort of racialization, I don't think that's hugely useful, because whiteness as a concept has been expanded and changed throughout different times. It's funny that people get mad about being called a cracker, but it's not all that long ago that the idea of whiteness wasn't extended to particularly Eastern European folks. Jewishness as well being a mitigating factor for whiteness. White. Yeah, so like I don't think the issue is necessarily that white people feel victimized at this point. I think it's more about changing dynamics of power than any feeling of victimization, if you know what I mean. Unnecessarily, I'm always kind of reticent to make any declaration about white people as a consistent group, as like an ontologically distinct group that is historically constant. Racialized, yeah, racialized makes sense, yeah. Yeah, I mean who was it? It was someone was saying the biggest insult to white people is, I think it was that FD signifier video, that the biggest insult to white people is being called racist. So it's put onus on racialized people to be very, very specific in saying when people are being racist. Living in Italy makes the white discourse really effed. Why are Sardinians white but not Tunisians? Yeah, I mean it's a odd and interesting question that has disturbing consequences. I've not read Sean Faye's book yet. I want to read Sean Faye's book. It's one of the books that's on my list. I feel like Sean Faye's book is maybe not made for specifically my audience. I feel like it's made to convince people who maybe aren't already on board, or are looking to be convincing people who aren't on board. Misha Patry, I'm excited for the new Matrix. I like the Matrix films. Thomas James, I think it's valid that discrimination can happen against anyone, but the way that perceived discrimination is equated with racism, and your cracker discourse is very misguided. Discrimination, I guess, like, at what point does it matter if you're being discriminated against and you're white in a fucking white supremacist country? Some guy calls you a cracker, like, and that's being discriminated against, like, on the basis of race, like, does it matter? Is there a point making that distinction? It's certainly not racism. It's not just misguided, it's just that calling it racism is a way of reducing racism to a trite concept, isn't it? It's reducing racism to a narrow idea of discrimination. I bought it for a trans friend who's generally knowledgeable, but they said it really changed their perspective. Looking forward to reading it myself. It's definitely on my list. I'll definitely get to it when I get to it. What's my favourite cracker? You get really nice thyme and pepper crackers. my mum often has, and you get them with like a slice of brie. And when I used to eat fish, slice of brie, slice of smoked salmon, and those lovely like thyme and pepper crackers. Oh, beautiful, beautiful shit. Ooh, crackers and soup. That's good. Alright, let's call it a day here. I can't get too much more drunk. I am supposed to be going on to talk to Professor Flowers for her stream in a little bit. So I should probably not get too much more drunk. This has been a good chat. Thanks, folks. I'm glad you guys hung out with me. Hope we're all doing okay. I hope you all enjoyed the chicken run video. Hope you all enjoyed me getting progressively drunk. Yeah, it's been fun. And Anisha12, I'm proud of you. Finished. Oh, okay. Will I finish the wine? We'll finish the wine and we'll turn it off. Oh, that's bad. We will finish the wine. Oh, chugging wine. Oh, beer. Oh, dear. Chugging £6 wine. Hey, peer pressure is good. It keeps you cool. Innocent Fugitive, it is very cute that you think that this would harm me. Oh, haircut. Absolutely, anytime. Anytime you're doing a video, you want some fucking horrible bastard like Hume voiced over annotated. Hey, Lemon, what is this? Let's stop for a second. Lemon, this is just me and you right now. What's this judgment that you're throwing my way? You're throwing my way some judgment about drinking this wine slowly? I'm not too keen on that. I'm not just drinking. If I was just drinking with friends, I would have probably drank it faster. But you know, we're doing work here. Just genuinely wondering. Are you just genuinely wondering? Okay. Just like, you know, we're it's just me and you right here. We're just having a wee chat by ourselves. What's these questions you're firing at me? We'll drink this wine in our own time. And maybe that time is downing it right now. So what does that mean? Yeah, we're done. Done. We all happy? Calling it a day. My favourite kind of wine? Red wine. Tom Brady, if I'm ever in Manchester, you can try to challenge me at Mario Kart, but it won't be a fucking challenge. I will destroy you and anyone who comes close to me at Mario Kart. Mario Kart and table football. Two things that I will destroy you at. No questions asked. Cheers, folks. That's it.